right. Okay, we'll open this meeting. Welcome. This is a regular scheduled meeting of the Montezuma County Planning and Zoning Commission is being held in the Commissioners' Meeting Room in the Montezuma County Administrative Offices, 109 West Main, Room 270, Cortez, Colorado. We're going to open with the Pledge of Allegiance and then a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Commissioner Rosso,
Here.
Commissioner Farian.
Here.
Commissioner Pierce is absent. Commissioner Saunders.
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Here.
Also present, Don Haley and Jane Duncan with County Planning. Absent is Commissioner Pierce and Commissioner Taylor. Please silence or turn off your cell phones during the meeting. Important calls may be taken outside the meeting room. Planning and Zoning Commission minutes will be reviewed, the June meeting minutes at this meeting. Did everybody get a chance to look those over?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the June 2022 Planning and Zoning minutes.
I'll second.
All right, and moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Rosso,
Aye.
Commissioner Farian,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Abstain.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Aye.
Motion carried, vote was unanimous. The Montezuma County Planning Commission welcomes you to this meeting. The board is comprised of members who are tasked to make recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners. We are not the decision makers. We encourage public comment after each permit. Person speaking during public comment will be limited to 3 minutes, or depending on the number of people wishing to speak, it may be reduced at the discretion of the Planning Commission to allow all members of the public the opportunity to express their thoughts and concerns. When addressing the commission, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Prior to providing your comments, comments to individual applicants are not permitted. Please direct your comments to the commission. And Chairman Rosso shall be voting at this meeting.
And I'll be recusing myself at this time.
Okay. Roll call.
Commissioner Rosso,
Here.
Commissioner Saunders,
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Yep.
All right. Number one. Notice is hereby given the Montezuma County Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing for the purpose of reviewing and determining recommendations to be made to the Board of County Commissioners regarding a proposed 20-lot major subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Akin Adventures Incorporated, agent Allison Klein, on property located at 20588 RoadM, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 70.34 acres, more or less, located south of Road M, east of Road 20, situated in Section 13, Township 36 North, Range 17 West, New Mexico Prime Meridian. This is a public hearing. Was the public notice published?
Yes, sir.
Was evidence of letters to the adjoining neighbors submitted?
Yes, sir.
And the sign was posted.
Yes, sir.
The applicants like to come up, please. Come up and have a seat. And
You'll need to turn on that microphone as well.
Is that working?
I think so. Planning Department findings.
The applicant proposes to create a 20-lot major subdivision of 3 to 4 acres each, more or less. The property currently has one driveway access for the mobile home that is in the northwest corner. A new driveway permit application will need to be obtained from the county road department for a new driveway access off of Road M and for the interior access plan for the project, including a cul-de-sac. Empire Electric has stated that the property, the area needs to have, will have to do a upgrade, and the cost will be from the developer, because the service right now is not adequate for something that size. The applicant several years ago had purchased 8 water taps, so she has 7 left. The Wildfire Adaptive Partnership recommends a waiver, but however, that does not negate the property owners from still being responsible for maintaining the defensible spaces. The county weed manager also recommended a waiver, but that also, the property owners still have to maintain noxious weed management. There is a geo study done by Thomas Engineering that is on file. And we do have a set of draft covenants that was just given to us.
Okay, were you gonna put those up on the?
Yeah, let me go to the map real quick. And then we do have the draft covenants here, but do you mind us showing those just to maybe answer some questions? Okay. So these are the draft covenants. Basically, Akin Adventures will retain operation of the subdivision till 60% or 12 lots of the 20 are sold. President, vice president, secretary, treasurer, members. This just goes through how they'll elect the HOA and how they're gonna operate. Wildfire mitigation, noxious weed, drainage, setbacks. Those are all part of the mandatory minimums from our land use code. Lighting, views and sunlight, sanitation, nuisances, and then fuels mitigation, which is part of the wildfire mitigation plans as a standard. Then we get into more specifics, building construction materials, building standards, barns, garages, structures submitted to the HOA or architectural committee if one is formed for approval. So that will be under review. Drainage plan, site runoff plan for drainage, not to cause any drainage issues on other or adjoining properties. All homes a minimum of 1,500 square feet. 2-story homes, it includes both levels, tri-stories, all 3 levels. Basements not included in the square footage, even if they're finished. Homes, barns, garages, story buildings, structures, approved by Akin Adventures or HOA Architectural Committee if established, in writing before construction, meet the county building codes, landscaping or outside character, just some different ideas of breaking up the look of everybody having the same looking house, same color scheme. I believe in here that it addresses, unattached garages, buildings, shelters, gazebos, barns shall be constructed, same materials as the primary home.
The 30-foot height,
Pardon me?
the 30-foot height, I think, is key in here.
Oh, yeah, there is a 30-foot height restriction.
In 5, yeah.
Yeah, all homes must not exceed 30 feet in height. There's more on building materials, HOA involved in the exterior finish and design, wood siding, brick, stone, stucco, metal siding may be acceptable, roof finishes, built up composite, clay tile, metal, must be approved. Paint colors, applicable for the type of construction. Bright colors, blacks, yellows, those types are not permitted. Let me see here. Let me bring up this one other page. If it loads.
Allison just gave me this, so I'm giving this. This is the continuation of it. So,
Yeah, this isn't working. Let's see where this leads off. Number 3, land improvement, landscaping, driveways, walks. All other site improvements subject to approval of Akin Adventures or the HOA must be approved before installation. Road driveways must be constructed of Class A state highway approved road base, concrete or asphalt. Walks shall be constructed of concrete, paving stones, or brick pavers. Other materials will be reviewed. Landscaping must be approved. Let's see. Russian olives not approved. Low use water plants are required. Xeriscaping is preferred. Let's see what else. Remove, replace dead trees, shrubs. Maintain the exterior. Fencing is permitted, maximum height of 48 inches. All fencing types and their location will be considered but must be approved. Animals, domestic animals are permitted, dogs, cats, 2 of each. Animals will be considered, or other animals will be considered, must be contained within the owner's lot lines and under control of the homeowner. Farm animals are generally not permitted, however, a limited number of small farm animals such as chickens and or rabbits, no roosters, which must be caged or fenced, may be acceptable. Let's see. FFA animals would be allowed under permission. Cars, trucks, and other vehicles, hard to identify vehicles that are parked on each lot owner, list of vehicles that are common. In Montezuma County, vehicles not listed must be identified by VIN number, type, description, color, and HOA approved before storage of other types of vehicles. Construction, office trailers, other equipment are permitted on any lots under construction. Must be removed after 6 months or issuance of a certificate of occupancy, which basically would have to be your state plumbing and electrical permits. The county does not issue COs. The intent of the covenant is to submit the rules and regulations for Whispering Meadows subdivision. When conflicts arise, all parties will try to first settle the dispute among themselves. If not obtained, then the parties can bring their case to the HOA, and that pretty much sums it up. So hopefully that either answers some of your questions or may lead to more questions. First question I have is, you have a mobile home on the northwest corner, and you had originally stated that that would be the sales office.
Yes.
Is that still the case, or was that a residence? Will mobile homes be allowed in the subdivision?
Mobile homes will not be allowed in the subdivision.
Oh.
Yep, I believe the covenants state that.
Okay.
I believe the covenants state that, and it says it will be removed after so many. It's going to be used more for security, sales office security. It might be rented, I'm not sure at this point, but it
Okay.
will be for security too.
Okay. I will turn it over to the commission.
All right, would you like to add anything else to that?
I'm
Would you like to add anything at this time?
Do you want to talk now?
I'm Gordon Callahan from Denver. Kind of an old hangout down here in Cortez. It's kind of a home week for me. Carol and I met recently, and it's kind of fun because she restored, as you guys, you know, the Galloping Goose number 5. And my father, mother, and I and my sister came down here in 1949, and we all rode the Galloping Goose. So I've been here coming in and out for the last 70-some years. And so I was asked by Carol to help out and, you know, do the development work, which is my profession. I've worked, or I should say, been involved with construction development in our family business practically all my life. My 2 sons run the business now, and my father started the business in 1935, and we built pretty much all over the state, not so much down here, a little far for us. So what the purpose, a couple quick things. Carol and I want to do a development that is above any other development probably in the Montezuma County. We wrote the covenants so that we would create, as we said in the first paragraph, we want to create beauty. And we want to maintain and do as little, how would you put it, change or impact on the environment by restricting these new homeowners to not have cars and trash and things running around, and a very strict homeowners association. And Carol and I, we love to create beauty. As you can see, we practice what we preach. And so we have taken into consideration the other landowners, and in some areas on the west side where the land's a little higher, we're going to encourage single family or single level homes. Down on the lower side, where it won't interfere views, people could build a 2-story. Just briefly, there was mention of the electrical. We've been working with Empire Electric for, oh golly, a couple of years. And when we first envisioned this, we went to them and they said, well, there's a single phase line that serves our subdivision and the owners around it. And they felt that in order to serve our new subdivision, we would need a 3-phase. So about a year ago, 9 months ago, the price was $200,000. Since then, it has risen to $250,000 to improve the service to the property, not including on the property. Now, what that means is that there will be basically 3 single phases, so we're improving it, and everybody in the area will be able to take advantage of that 3-phase for things like wells and things of that nature. Yeah, and we have agreed to pay that, and we have the money to pay that at this time. So if we are approved, we will give Empire the money to improve that. The other thing that we talked to Empire about was that in the future, we're looking at a lot more use of electricity. Electric cars are gonna demand more. We'll probably may even have to supplement electric heat until we figure out, you know, how to heat our homes. So we wanted to have our homes and anybody in the area have the ability to up their service and, you know, have a better life. So that was the first thing. As mentioned, the water district has water, and we've talked to them. They will give us water, put in the system when we buy the taps. We bought 8 taps already, which brought the water to our property some time ago. So we've tried to help out the homeowners in that area as much as possible. Of course, wastewater will be septic systems, and the engineers reports that that's perfectly acceptable. Gas is propane. Site runoff, most of the subdivision is not affected by site runoff. There is one little valley, and the engineers recommended some water retention so that if there is any water, will be held on our property and not flow down to the other property. And in the covenants, we have stated that we will maintain the structures and all culverts that are required in the road. There's 3 culverts required. The engineering, as you've seen, has been done. The property is actually perfect for a subdivision because we do very little disruption of the natural areas. We're not coming in and moving 4 or 5 feet, 6 feet of dirt, filling and doing that. We'll just blend into what we have. So going in and making sure that we do as little footprint as possible to, again, not interfere with the homeowners that are adjacent to us. One thing is, there was mention a couple of years ago, you know, the schools. At this point, the schools are really hurting for students. And if we can bring in some students, it may fill the voids and increase some of the schools, which has been a problem all over the country. And of course, the side effects is that we will be generating a lot of taxes. These are gonna be high-end homes. The price of the lots and the size of the homes is gonna warrant people that want to have a beautiful home, maintain a home, and have a beautiful place to come to. Excuse me. And as far as road improvements, there is a little bit of traffic. We might have 40, 50 cars a day. That kind of relates to 4 or 5 cars per hour. So very little impact in the traffic. And as you guys know, we are paying, what is it, $65,000 for road improvements and road maintenance. So that's a big help to the property owners in our area, is that we're doing all we can to make sure that the impact of what we do is minimal. I want to thank you for allowing us to come before your board tonight. As you know, Carol bought the property 20 years ago, and we've been trying, she has been trying to kind of put it together, but economic and the cost of development of this forced us not to develop it. Recently, we've been able to raise the funds. We have the funds to develop the project 100%, including roads and everything I discussed. So it'll be a completed subdivision if approved within about 6 months. So it's not going to be a derelict sitting out there in the middle of nowhere. And we feel it's going to be a real asset to the city, to Cortez Cortez and to, of course, Montezuma County. And the other thing we feel is that it'll set a standard for future subdivisions, so that, you know, people can look at it and say, go look at Whispering Meadows, that's what we want to see in the area. So, and the third reason, probably the last reason we're here, is that Carol and I are getting married in a couple of weeks, and we're just getting a little old to try and develop this project in another 10 years. And we want to make sure that it's developed while we're still able to control it and make it look the way it is, and not have some other developer come in and want 60 units and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the main gist of what we're trying to do, and we're asking you to approve this or recommend it to the commissioners if you see that it's going to be a real jewel to Montezuma County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to take on?
And congratulations.
Any planning commission discussion?
I got a few questions. First of all, why such small lots, 3-acre lots? What's,
Well, the biggest thing is the cost of development. We're trying to spread it out over the 20 lots, which would be 70 acres, 20 lots, 3 acres to 4 acres. Several of the lots are 4 acres. But to develop this property with all the fees and costs is gonna approach $700,000. Pretty amazing. I was amazed when I added them up, but when you have that much cost, it's hard to do it over less than 20 lots.
okay,
Plus, the area calls for the expense-wise, it's hard for somebody to pay for 10 acres. It's easier for somebody to pay for only 3 acres when you break it down cost-wise.
is your electric gonna be underground? That's the plan?
Is what?
The electric gonna be underground?
Underground.
Absolutely. No other way. And we worked with Empire on that and covered all our bases. They said that's great.
And the real estate people in the area have told me that 3 acres are more in demand than 10 acres. They're looking for inventory to sell.
I don't have questions, but looks like we have plenty of comments.
Yeah, no questions. We're gonna open this up to the public for comment. Would anyone from the public like to comment? Mr. Boardman?
I'd like to thank the committee for their time this evening, or service. Name and address first. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I was gonna say hello. But,
Hello.
I'll just get right to it. My name is. For my records, that's all. Yeah, I was good. My name is Michael Boardman. I reside at 20910 RoadM, and I've lived there for more than 20 years with my wife Julia. And our property adjoins the Akin Adventures lot being discussed. So I'm here tonight with my friends and neighbors who, like Julia and I, vehemently oppose the Akin Adventures subdivision. The neighborhood letter that I thought was going to be read into the record, it's apparently not going to be verbalized tonight. But it's essentially the same letter that was submitted in August of 2015 when this same development was first proposed. Our letter outlines the numerous and very real and personal concerns we neighbors share, as well as clear conflicts and violations of the land use code as it's currently written. To reiterate, Land Use Code Section 1201 states, one of the major objectives of the comprehensive land use plan is to protect the rural character of the county through the enactment of development regulations appropriate for rural areas. Approving a maximum density subdivision in the middle of an area of custom homes built on large parcels of land is not protecting the rural character of the county, and would clearly conflict with the spirit of the land use code. At the August 2015 meeting, Commissioner Clayton stated, as a member of the commission, the land use code was their Bible and is what they had to base their decisions on. Additionally, Commissioner Gaddy pointed out that since Akin Adventures' former partner, Mr. Clark, stated this was the second segment, it was indeed segmented. He stated for them to be able to do this, the land use code would need to be changed. Chairman Atwater stated he felt the application was segmentation, was not consistent with the land use in the area and the land use code or the comprehensive land use plan. At the conclusion of the 2015 meeting, the Planning Committee, having very carefully, thoughtfully considered all the aspects and input both for and against the subdivision, unanimously agreed that it clearly violated section 1302.1, all phases considered, and was in fact segmented. And the approval would require the land use code be rewritten. So tonight we're here once again with the same developer seeking to maximize profits regardless of the impact on the surrounding neighbors, trying to sell the same development proposal which this committee must consider using the same unchanged language of the land use code. One particularly serious concern we all share is the precedent that he set for the other landowners in the area to come together and add on to this development. There's potentially 150 acres. I'm almost done.
Time's up.
Okay, real quick. In closing, we feel that allowing this project to move forward, despite obvious violations to both language and the spirit of the land use code, is literally going to kill the peace and tranquility of our neighborhood. It'll be gone forever. So please enforce the land use code and protect the rural character of our neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, everybody. Zach Farian. I'm at 12130 Road 20. I'm here asking you guys to oppose this, this application. It is in section 1302-1. It clearly states all phases are to be considered initially. The original phase was in 2003, and that segmenting after that is a clear violation of the land use code. When commissioners consider proposals such as this, we have to look at the surrounding area. The average acreage in that area is about 60 to 65 acres per lot. We take a section, a massive section of land, and turn it into the exact area that everybody living around there doesn't want to live by. We didn't move to the city for a reason. We don't want to live near anything like that. As a developer, it is their responsibility to understand the land use code prior to coming to the Planning and Zoning Commission. That understanding of segmenting should have been known in 2003. Again, 2015, this was proposed. It was unanimously denied. I have to wonder why they are now doing it again 7 years later. Looks to me that we have new commissioners. They're trying to undermine past commissioners' decisions while also getting a massive payday. Lot sizes, or lots, real estate is near all-time highs. They clearly do not care about the surrounding neighbors, because if they had, they would have went to all of them sometime within the last 7 years to try to create some kind of plan or some kind of agreement that everybody could get behind. They clearly do not care about the surrounding neighbors. For that reason, additionally, there are a lot of prairie dogs on there. massive subdivision would push that on to surrounding areas, surrounding landowners. For that reason, I'm asking you guys to please decline this application. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else?
I'm Julia Bordeman, 20910 County Road M. And I'm going to address a concern I have on the road issue. So this is Road 21M, our driveway. I was previously in an accident trying to access my driveway from a neighbor. There's no other way to access our driveway than going around this curve, or, taking that curve. If we have more traffic, I'm worried about potential from our accident. And that's a big concern of mine. I don't know if you guys want to keep this. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Eric Terrell. You'll hear from my wife Barbara in a moment. We have the same addresses, and its address is plural. We have 11242 on Route 20. That's adjacent to the property that we're talking about today. Additionally, we have a home in a stone's throw away at 11305 Road 20. And I'd like to read a letter that a group of us put together when we thought we were meeting in, I believe, October of last year. Dear Planning and Zoning Commissioners, we ask that the Planning and Zoning Commission again deny Akin Adventures Incorporated application for a zoning change from Historical Z to AR39 for a 20-lot major development along County Road M. The application is nearly identical to the application reviewed and rejected by the Planning and Zoning Commission on August 27, 2015, based on the determination by the Commission members that the rezoning proposal would violate Montezuma County's Land Use Code Section 1302.1 that specifies that properties cannot be segmented. At the time, the Commission reviewed and considered the following facts. Segmenting and precedence, as previously discussed in the April 23rd and August 27th, 2015 P&Z committee meetings, the requested zoning change violated Section 1302.1 of Land Use Code that specifies projects cannot be segmented. In 2003, the county approved the Akin Adventures 4 Wind subdivision, which established 3 small lots from an 80-acre parcel and a remaining 70-acre parcel, despite our public hearing, testimony, and objections. At the time of the 2003 approval, we voiced concern that the introduction of these small parcels would begin a process of piecemealing small lots into the area and set a precedence for future incremental small lot rezoning requests. The applications under consideration again in today, it is essentially the same request from 2015 and distinctly is a second phase of the original 4 Winds request from 2003, which violates the all phases considered section of the Land Use Code. Allowing this parcel to be rezoned as requested in the current application violates the existing zoning regulations, which we ask the Planning and Zoning Commission to enforce. Therefore, approval of the AR39 zoning change is not in conformity with the Land Use Code and Comprehensive Use Plan. The Montezuma County Land Use Code specifies that establishing and changing. I'm on my last sentence or so, can I? Changing the HIST-Z zoning designation should be made in context with its historical use and size. Anyway, I'll close by just thanking the Commission. We realize that the
I think
positive
we're gonna have
attributes.
to cut you off.
Thank you for your consideration.
Good evening. I'm Barb Terrell, and Eric's my husband, and we reside at 11305 Road 20, as well as own the adjacent property of 11242 on Road 20 as well. And my fellow neighbors did a great job of citing all the land use codes and everything, and I'm gonna talk about what does this mean to me. So personally, I have concerns about things like light pollution. We lived in a major subdivision for 22 years in Denver, and the reason we moved out here was for the peace, the quiet, and for the rural environment. So we have concerns about light pollution that will reduce our ability to view the dark skies that we enjoy. The increased traffic, where there is really only one major way in and out of this whole section, and that's across the bridge. That's a very narrow bridge at Alkali Creek. And so we have concerns about what happens to the extra traffic there, also about degrading the road conditions on our gravel roads. Noise pollution, everything from the noise from engines of the cars to construction. Water pressure concerns. I haven't really heard anyone talk about the water pressure. We live past where RoadM is, and we're concerned that if you're adding 20 additional houses onto the existing water system, are we gonna have any water pressure at our house? The impact to wildlife and the pressure on the deer in our area by reducing their territory to graze. And also the increase in the noxious weed contamination to surrounding properties. Currently, there's a field of knapweed in the southwest side, if you go to the Akin property map, and it looks like it's where proposed lots 6, 7, 8, and possibly 20 are located. I have a picture taken from our back fence post, and you can see the field is full of noxious knapweed. And that was mentioned in the proposal, and it said that there was no remediation required. So anyway, I wanted to point that out, and so therefore, that's all I wanted to say. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Yeah, we said we.
Good evening. My name is Leslie Brozovich. I live at 20722 RoadM. My husband purchased the property years ago, believing that that property that is next to us would not be developed. Husband's not here today because he passed away last year. So I'm kind of coming here, as my neighbors have done, to say, to voice my opinions. It was stated that the developers wanted to create beauty by building and developing this area. However, my neighbors and I have different viewpoints of what beauty is. Beauty to myself and my neighbors is the wildlife and the natural beauty of the area. We moved out here, we live out here because it is natural, and we enjoy the peace and tranquility out there. You did talk about single-phase versus three-phase lines. Once you start developing this kind of property, I'm not young, but I've been involved with several big projects before. There's a major disruption to the area, and it will have an impact. They said that they want to blend in and not interfere with the surroundings, but I don't understand how you can say something like that when by adding these kind of, adding this development would definitely affect the surroundings. Schools, because I'm involved with schools, not here, but you're talking about high-end homes. However, the county doesn't seem to be able to support filling up the other developments in the area from what I've seen. And although
we would be looking at some job creation with this temporary project. It would not facilitate more jobs coming to the area. We need jobs in order for people to buy these homes, and especially if they're buying high-end homes. I just hope that the commission looks at the amount of people that have come out here to state that we are opposed to the development of this property. We came out here, we live out here because we enjoy the beauty and the quiet and being able to look at the stars at night without too much. Well, we have a little bit of glow from Cortez, but it is beautiful. And the wildlife, it's unbelievable what comes across our yards. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
you
you.
listening.
I'm Dave Headley, 11588 Road 20. I've got a quarter mile of contiguous frontage with the property in question. Based on all the excellent commentary you've heard, I think it's very clear that this proposal is in clear violation of the land use code and very negative to the surrounding homes and environment. And one last comment, I would say this is Montezuma County, it is not Denver. Thank you.
My name is Brianne Goddard. I live at 20680 Road M. I am immediately west of where the proposed subdivision is planning to be. I'm not going to throw codes out there because I don't know them, but I do know that I sit on my back porch every day, every single day. That's why I moved there. I can see the entire mesa, the entire La Platas, and the entire Ute Mountain. I can watch deer and bobcats and mountain lions and badgers and prairie dogs walk across that field that is supposed to be uninhabited by wildlife, and that is not true. The presence of the trailer, which didn't give any of us any faith in what this was gonna look like, just so we're all on the same page there, has already disrupted their hunting and travel paths through that area. Just the presence of it. And if anyone had spent any time out there in the last year, 2 years, they would have seen those animals. And like all of my fellow neighbors, we are concerned about light and air pollution. We have near misses on County Road M on that corner weekly, and we try to be aware of each other. But that corner is too tight, and 40 to 50 vehicles a day may not feel like a lot, but when we have maybe one vehicle passing our home every day with our animals, our livestock, our children, 40 to 50 vehicles each way, it makes a difference. And so my family and my neighbors are asking you to please don't do this. We want our peace. We moved out there for a reason. My kids didn't feel safe in town. And this was our opportunity to stay where our home is, but make them feel safe. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Sword. I live at 20085 County Road M. You know, I've sat here and listened to all this, and it's all fine, but I moved out there. I lived in Grand Junction for 20 years. I've been through a lot. I understand how all these work and everything. But from what I can hear, it's not pliable here to have that. And they're talking about not very much traffic out there. And we have a lot of the deer on our road slaughtered. Cows get on the road slaughtered. And perhaps children, you know, and this 40 cars, well, it's gonna jump up if you have children. If they're driving, it's another vehicle. That's gonna impact on our way of living out there. The sewage is gonna be higher. I don't care how anybody looks at it. It's gonna be going into the groundwater. You can't catch it, and it's gonna go into the streams, which is gonna be a harmful deal to a lot of our animals. The place where they're putting it, a lot of animals go through there, they live around there. You're not gonna have those animals there anymore. They're gone. You have corners there that are sharp, have other ones over there around that bridge that's bad. And from what I've heard so far, what I gathered from all this is not about having a nicer place, it's about money. And I think it's sickening, so I have to say no.
Thank you.
My name is François Surf, 11786 Road 21. It might not sound like it, but I have been around for 26 years. I come from Switzerland, and I fell in love with the area a long time ago. And I love the West. The West is changing, but I think we have to keep the county as nice and rural as possible. Subdivisions are more for town than for areas with big acreage. I want to thank everybody for their testimonies. And the main point is, basically, the land code, the land use code hasn't changed. The proposition still violates existing regulations. It is the duty of the land use committee to protect rural areas for the greater good of the county. And I think the main thing is the greater good of the county. We have to see look at the big picture, and we count on you to help preserve the beauty of Montezuma County. Thank you very much.
Anyone else in the public like to comment? All right.
One clarification, when the homeowners talked about developments, there are 3 lots adjacent to our property that are all 3 acres. And when those were sold, there was no objections. So there has been a precedent set in that area.
Thank you. All right, we'll bring it back to the commission. Any discussion?
I got a question, Don. Can you clarify the segmentation that the land use code talks about? And does this fit in with those 3-acre, the 3 acre parcels that are up to the north? I'm assuming that was all one piece of property at some point.
So here's the land use code that's been referenced, 1302.1, all phases considered. If a project is to be phased over time, it cannot be segmented to avoid the requirements of these regulations. And this is the application that we received. I first saw a sketch plan of the layout last year with Mrs. Steep and Michelle Martin as a 20-acre subdivision on 70 acres, 20-lot subdivision on 70 acres. I didn't look into the 3 lots here, had no reason to. The application itself that I reviewed states that they're proposing to do 20 lots on 70 acres. Most lots are 3 to 4 acres in size. I ran it by the Cortez Fire Protection District for a matter of one ingress-egress lane, and they were okay with that. Because I wasn't sure if the minimum that they would require would be 2 for a subdivision of that size. But it was sometime later in the fall, late summer. Then they came in with Ms. Klein, and we started working with an application. So it has not been proposed in our office that it's a continuation of the existing three lots there on the northeast, up here in the corner. It was always proposed to me as 20-acre lot subdivision on 70 acres. Now, I do know the previous P&Z chair read into it that what was developed in '03 could not be continued 12 years later. He was the planning and zoning chair. I'm not on the commission, I'm just the planning and zoning director. My interpretation is, as this application is submitted, as the property exists, I do not see it as a continuation. I do not see that it's connected at all. So you've got objective points in the land use code that this meets. The subjective part is whether it fits the area or not. That's pretty much a subjective item you're gonna have to evaluate. Rather the 3 to 4 acre lots are appropriate in that area. It's not completely out of line. There's other subdivisions further out that are, one's even an R3, residential only, on some smaller size lots, but we do have an email from Road and Bridge, and Rob Englehart does not have any issue with the subdivision. The only thing he states is that only issues is if they want to add additional driveway accesses. At that point, they would have to do an additional driveway permit application. But from our understanding, the access road off of M to the trailer is exactly the same location as what's designated as the, what would be a red sign road for that subdivision.
It'd be non-maintained.
Correct. It would be strictly a subdivision road, and that, I'm sure under the HOA guidelines, there would be HOA fees to account for maintenance and plowing and whatnot. But that's kind of how it was presented now. I did not go back and look at an application from 2015. We did look at the minutes because that was referenced. And that was the view of the commission chair then.
Right.
But I don't know. I guess it depends on how it was presented then versus now, and what kind of jump you want to take on a 12-year span on 70 acres. The part that bothered me in the 2015 meeting minutes was that this was a 4-lot subdivision. 3 lots being 3 plus or minus acres, with the 4th lot being 70 acres, which is not accurate. It's not true. The 70 acres is not, it's out of the picture. Anything over 35 is not part of a subdivision and can stand alone. So that, referencing that as a 4th lot is really is misleading.
Misnomer, okay.
On a misnomer, correct.
Okay.
And the plat doesn't even reference that. There are no plat notes on the 3-lot, I don't even remember what it's called, 4 states subdivision. There's no reference to the remaining 70 acres. There are no plat notes. I did check the P&Z meeting minutes. There were no conditions or anything addressing not to further subdivide that property. I don't know if anybody had a plan, but I mean, 12 years is a long time to decide what you're doing with 70 acres.
So it was a 3-acre, it was a 3-lot.
3-lot moderate
with a remainder of 70.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Haley has anything else before I get on my soapbox?
Please.
Okay. While I believe that property owners do have a right to do what they would like to do on their property, we are stewards of the property. We have obligations to our neighbors. This is a great-looking subdivision. I just don't think where it's at is proper with the large parcels that are surrounding it. We have a subdivision in Cortez, Brandon's, what, yes, Gates, right. There are empty lots there. We have a couple of big subdivisions up on 184. Red Tail's one of them. Empty lots. So I'm not sure that you'd be able to sell. But again, being in this large property area, I just don't think this is a good fit myself.
I mean, I agree, and it's not up to us to decide what to give direction on if something will sell or not. You know, I can't make my decision on that. So that one's tough for me. I agree, we do need to be a steward of the land and live in the area myself and love all of the things that you all mentioned. And then the other side of me needs more housing, absolutely needs more housing. I know, I heard the O's. I just have to be honest about, there are housing constraints in this area, and 3 lots still is big. You know, they're expensive and it's still big. So I'm definitely torn and would love to hear what you have to say, Mr. Rosso.
Well, I'm kind of interested in the segmenting part of this. So your view is that the 70 acres was not subject to segmenting because it wasn't part of that subdivision. It was the remainder of the land after that.
Correct. And from the application and the discussions I've had, those other 3 lots never even came into play, were never even discussed, never even looked at. I never even considered them. I was more concerned with how Fire Protection District would address this, ingress, egress, you know, the setback parameters, having a hammerhead turnaround, from that standpoint, trying to connect it to something that happened a long time ago is not something we chase. I mean, that's kind of getting into big time government overreach from my perspective. I don't know how it was presented. The P&Z meeting minutes from 2015, like I say, there's some stuff in there I don't agree with. It's zoned historical, which it stated that that's the most restrictive. Historic zoning only exists because the landowner, property owner did not respond to the county when the letters were sent out in 2000 to see how and what they wanted to zone their property. Land use code was adopted in 98. Letters were sent out in 2000. Those that didn't respond were zoned historic use because the county wasn't going to overlay them with a zoning in the land use code. So as properties come up, have people subdivide or whatever, then we address the zonings at that point. But historic isn't the most restrictive, it's default because it wasn't given any other zoning because nobody addressed it. But that was something else that was in those meeting minutes.
I'd like to hear what our county attorney would define that as.
I don't know. There's, I think the question came up on how long or how many years or what the time frame for being segmented would be. Colorado revised statutes on subdivisions. They give you 3 years vested rights from the day that the county commissioners approve the subdivision. If you don't build it and start development, then you lose your approval. And you either have to have a public hearing to extend those vested rights, or you reapply and you start the process over. So that's state statutes on subdivisions.
But that's as far as building the subdivision. I'm wondering what he would
Right.
say about the segmenting of this, if that is,
That I don't know.
I know, it'd be easier to make a decision if we knew that. Any further discussion?
That's it.
It's a tough one. All right, I guess we entertain a motion.
All right, I will make a motion to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to approve a proposed 20-lot major subdivision and rezoning application submitted by Akin Adventures Incorporated agent Allison Klein based on the following. A, the proposed use is in conformity with the code. B, the proposed use shall not generate any significant adverse impacts on other property in the area. And C, public utilities and services are available or can be made available to support uses consistent with the proposed zoning. And I would say the conditions are based on the county attorney's findings of
That's
the definition of segmenting and if it applies. Because the county commissioners will have final say, but, I mean, this checks
And they'll-
the boxes.
And they will have that information at that time.
Correct.
I can't second it.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
No.
Commissioner Russell?
Nay.
Commissioner Saunders?
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Nay.
So that motion failed, 2-1.
All right, well, good luck with the commissioners. And I would say the only reason I voted nay was because I'm not completely clear on the segmentation. And I'm sure the commissioners will be when you're there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you guys gotta stay for the rest of the meeting. Zach does anyway. I doubt it.
We have 5 minutes.
So it didn't. I mean, we could all voted aye and it's still going to commissioners. They get no
Now
ideas.
we're going to where? We're going to Evans.
I think that they will, if, but I'd like to know about the segmentation, is that,
This is the lot split? Yeah, this is simple.
yeah. If it's deemed not to be segmentation, yeah, it's gonna pass through. If it is, it's not. I mean, that's. you do the roll call? No,
Oh, where did he go?
I don't know.
Same man about a horse, I think.
Commissioner Rosso?
Here.
Commissioner Varian?
Here.
Commissioner Saunders?
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Here.
All right. Number 2. Notice is hereby given, the Montezuma County Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed subdivision amendment application to the KeithEvans 2-lot moderate subdivision submitted by KeithEvans and Curt and Nancy Mangan on properties located at 10659 Road 26, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 15.51 acres more or less, and 10869 Road 26, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 16 acres, more or less. Both located west of Road 26, south of RoadL, situated in Section 23, Township 36 North, Range 16 West, New Mexico Prime Meridian. This is a public hearing. Was a public notice published?
Yes, sir.
Was evidence of letters to the adjoining neighbors submitted?
Yes, sir.
And the sign was posted.
Yes, sir.
Would the applicants like to come up, please?
It's all legal crap.
Take your time.
Yep. Take your time. Keith, how are you? Good. All right, Planning Department findings.
Okay, the applicants proposed to amend the KeithEvans 2-lot moderate subdivision by changing the common lot line. The property owned by KeithEvans is located within the KeithEvans 2-lot moderate subdivision, resulting in going through the permitting process for the common lot line change. The property, excuse me, the property owned by Mr. and Mrs. Mangan is not located within any subdivision. All property owners are in agreement to change the property line to ensure the utilities are located on the correct property and to match the existing fence line. All the infrastructure and everything is already in place on both properties.
You guys like to add anything to that? All right, any discussion, planning commission?
I have a question. How does the new lot line gonna affect the buildings as far as offset goes? Gonna increase it? Am I understanding that correctly?
The new lot line will be south of the existing,
To the south?
Yes.
So it'll increase the setback?
yes, it'll increase the setback to the property to the north.
Okay. That's it. Go ahead.
All right, we'll bring it to the public. Anyone from the public will comment on that? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. If there's no further discussion, we'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we recommend to the county commissioners to approve the proposed subdivision amendment application to the KeithEvans 2-lot moderate subdivision submitted by KeithEvans and Curt and Nancy Mangan, proposed on the following. The proposed use is in conformity with the code. The proposed use shall not generate any significant adverse impacts on other properties in the area, and public utilities and services are available or can be made available to support uses consistent with the proposed zoning.
I'll second.
Is there any conditions to the motion, Mr. Hernandez?
I'm sorry?
Is there any conditions?
No conditions.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? We'll call the vote, please.
Commissioner Rosso?
Aye.
Commissioner Farian?
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders?
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Aye.
Motion carried, vote was unanimous. Good luck. I bet you wish you could've went first.
It's my life story.
All right, we'll have roll call, please.
Commissioner Russell,
Here.
Commissioner Farian,
Here.
Commissioner Saunders,
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Here.
You're welcome. You wanna go
See
out
ya.
this door?
All right. Number 3, notice is hereby given, the Montezuma County Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed 2-lot minor subdivision and AR 3-9 rezoning application submitted by Justin and Brianna Wyatt on property located at 16659 Road 24, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 21.69 acres more or less, located north of Road S, west of Road 24, situated in Section 21, Township 37 North, Range 16 West, New Mexico Prime Meridian. This is a public hearing. Was the public notice published?
Yes, sir?
Evidence of letters of adjoining neighbors submitted,
Yes, sir?
and the sign was posted.
Yes, sir?
The applicants like to come up, please. How are you? Good. Planning Department findings?
The applicants are proposing to divide the existing house with 5 more or less acres. The remaining acreage will continue to be agricultural in use. The infrastructures are already there for the existing house. Empire Electric says that if the other section ever is developed, that there is adequate power for the ample usage, so there's no conditions there, and everything else is fine too.
It doesn't look like access is any problem.
No.
All right, would you guys like to add anything to that?
The only thing I'd like to say is, you'll notice that Green Acre Subdivision is right across, east. And so we're not doing anything that's differentiating from what's already there as far as what subdivisions are concerned. And then Lebanon Estates is, I don't know exactly, but it's northeast of that, and I don't know what the size are of those, but, I know those are really adjacent in proximity, but, so there is some developing stuff already there, so I don't think what we're requesting is any, gonna put any differing, I guess, to the other neighboring, what's already there, I guess, I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Okay. Any planning commission discussion?
What's the intention of separating that section off?
So, my mother-in-law, she currently lives in Joshua's Crossing, so one of the ideas was, and her house is currently for sale, is what we were hoping to do is she proposed possibly to buy the existing house. So that's why, for future, maybe we could build on the existing acreage as well.
Gotcha.
No questions.
All right, we'll open to public comment. Anybody from the public like to comment on this? Seeing none, bring it back to the commission. If there's no further discussion, would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to approve a proposed 2-lot minor subdivision and AR 3-9 rezoning application submitted by Justin and Brianna Wyatt based on the following. The proposed use is in conformity with the code. The proposed use shall not generate any significant adverse impacts on other property in the area. Public utilities and services are available or can be made available to support uses consistent with the proposed zoning, and I don't have any conditions.
Second.
All right, been moved and seconded. If there is no further discussion, we'll call the vote, please.
Commissioner Russell,
Aye.
Commissioner Farian,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Aye.
Motion carried. Vote was unanimous. Good luck to you guys.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch with you guys.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Commissioner Russell,
Here.
Commissioner Farian,
Here.
Commissioner Saunders,
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Here.
All right, number 4, notice is hereby given that Montezuma County Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing and review and determination of a proposed high-impact amendment application and commercial plan unit development amendment application for Mancos Valley Storage submitted by Will and Sandra Lochte, agent Aaron Johnson, on property located at 40575 Highway 160, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 3 acres more or less, located north of Highway 160, west of 160 Business Route, west of East Montezuma Street, or East Monte Street, situated in Section 29, Township 36 North, Range 13 West, New Mexico Prime Meridian. Was the public notice published?
Yes, sir?
Was evidence the letters to the adjoining neighbors submitted?
Yes, sir?
And the sign was posted.
Yes, sir?
Would the applicants like to come up? Will, how are you?
Great. Mike, how are you?
Good.
Happy to be here.
I'll bet. I'll bet. Planning Department findings.
Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta pay attention. The applicants are proposing to amend the existing high-impact permit to convert to an open space storage area to add 3 more storage unit buildings. There are currently 12 buildings plus a manager's residence on the property. The addition of the proposed units will result in a full build-out of the property. This is a second amendment to the high-impact permit. CDOT has been contacted because it is off of the business route of 160. They reviewed the current access permit and the proposed land use change. Based on the information provided, nothing further will be required from CDOT. The expansion of 3 additional storage units will not trigger a 20% increase in traffic volume to warrant an amendment or a new CDOT access permit. And all the infrastructure is already in place for the current residents.
Would you like to add anything to that?
That covers it.
Yeah, the envelope to the highway department came back, but I think it's because they own another lot on the
Yeah.
south side of the road.
Yeah, they have several addresses.
Yeah. That one came back.
I'm sure it doesn't bother any of the neighbors, but the buildings will look a lot nicer than all the parked vehicles out there.
Right.
Right, and that's an existing, commercial
Right.
planned unit development from, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago.
I think it was 1986 or something like that.
And
2002 it became a PUD.
Okay, 20 years ago. So,
Yeah.
so with the first amendment to the high impact permit, the planned unit development was not amended or updated. So at this point, with the full build out, that will be amended and take care of that as well.
Okay. Planning Commission discussion?
One question I have is, the fire mitigation that is existing, is that gonna be enough to cover the other 3 buildings? Has anybody looked into that? Well, I'm sure you have a fire, hydrants out there?
There's a hydrant across the street at what used to be Western Excelsior.
It's right in the corner right here.
Western Wood Products.
Okay, is that still gonna be enough for the added units?
Cinder block buildings, so there's not,
I'm sorry?
it's mostly cinder block buildings, so there's not different.
Oh, okay.
So the wildfire.
It's just gonna smoke,
Wildfire Adaptive Partnership has recommended this for a waiver because the property is completely cleared and it does have gravel.
Okay.
Well.
Well.
But the property owner is still responsible for the defensible spaces, which there aren't any. But yeah, that's.
That's all I have.
All right, we'll We'll open it to public comment. Would anyone from the public like to comment on this? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission, and if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners, to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners for a, I cannot talk, proposed high-impact amendment application and commercial planned unit development amendment application for Mancos Valley Storage, submitted by Will and Sandra Lochte, agent Aaron Johnson, based on the following. The proposed use is in conformity with the code. The proposed use shall not generate any significant adverse impacts on other property in the area, and public utilities and services are available or can be made available to support uses consistent with the proposed zoning, and I do not have any conditions.
I'll second.
All right, moved and seconded. No further discussion. We'll call the vote, please.
Commissioner Russell,
Aye.
Commissioner Farian,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Aye.
Motion carried, and the vote was unanimous. Good luck.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch with you, Aaron.
All right, roll
There's
call,
an
please.
extra word.
Don't mind me.
He's not paying
Blame
attention.
her.
Roll call.
Commissioner Russell,
Here.
Commissioner Farian,
Here.
Commissioner Saunders,
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Here.
What?
There's an extra word.
Huh?
All right, number 5, notice is hereby given that the Montezuma County Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed 2-lot minor and AR 10-34 rezoning application submitted by Daniel and Amanda Ryan on property located at 17390 Road 23, Dolores, Colorado, consisting of 40.46 acres more or less, located north of Road T, east of Road 23, situated in Section 16, Township 37 North, Range 16 West, New Mexico Prime Meridian. This is a public hearing. Was the public notice published?
Yes, sir.
And was letters to the adjoining neighbors submitted?
Yes, sir.
And the sign was posted?
Yes, sir.
Would the applicants like to come up, please? Welcome. Okay, Planning Department findings.
The applicants propose to create one 15-acre parcel and one 25-acre parcel. There already is a residence on the property, so the infrastructure is already in place. The current driveway access has been in historical use since the construction of the residence in 1959. Any new proposed driveways will need to be permitted through the road department. And like I said, all the infrastructure is already in. And that's basically it.
All right, you guys like to add anything to that?
All right, the neighbors to the south have mentioned that they would be willing, or would like to purchase the property, so there wouldn't be any other impact or any changes.
Nice.
The 15 acres?
The 15
Okay.
acres.
Yeah, we're just hoping that nothing changes.
All right. Any planning commission discussion? We'll open up to the public. Would anyone from the public like to comment? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. If there's no further discussion, we'll entertain a motion.
Okay, I make a motion to the commissioners to approve the proposed 2-lot minor and AR 10-34 rezoning application submitted by Daniel and Amanda Ryan, based on the following. Proposed use is in conformity with the code. The proposed use shall not generate any significant adverse impacts on other properties in the area. and public utilities and services are available or can be made available to support uses consistent with the proposed zoning.
I'll second.
All right,
Are there any conditions?
Nope.
moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, we will call the vote, please.
Commissioner Russell,
Aye.
Commissioner Farian,
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders,
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Aye.
Motion carried, the vote was unanimous. Good luck to you guys. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Russell,
Here?
Commissioner Farian,
Here.
Commissioner Saunders,
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez.
Here.
All right, number 6, notice is hereby given, the Montezuma County Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed amendment application and AR 3-9 rezoning to the Mesa Foothills 2-lot minor subdivision, lot number 2, submitted by Jeff Oakey on property located at 30214 Road H, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 18.10 acres, more or less, located south of Highway 160, east of Road 27, situated in Section 34, Township 36 North, Range 15 West, New Mexico Prime Meridian. This is a public hearing. Was the public notice published?
Yes, sir.
Was evidence of letters to the adjoining neighbors submitted?
Yes, sir.
And the sign was posted?
Yes, sir.
Would the applicant like to come up, please?
He's on
The
Zoom.
applicant is on Zoom.
Oh,
I'm here.
Okay.
Jeff is here. All right, would you like to add anything to that?
No, sir.
All right, any planning commission discussion?
Well, the subject property is lot number 2 of the Mesa Foothills 2-lot minor. Mr. Oakey proposes to divide the property into 2 9-acre, more or less, parcels, making this subdivision a 3-lot minor. There is an interior road driveway in existence. The 2 driveways for the properties will split from the interior road at the north. Montezuma Water Company states that there are already 2 taps in reserve for this property. The Wildfire Adaptive Partnership has recommended a waiver for this property because it is fully cleared of any hazardous materials. But the property owners will be still responsible for maintaining dispensable spaces. Same with the county weed manager has recommended a waiver also because there is no weeds on the property. But the property owners are still responsible for maintaining noxious weeds. That's it.
Any discussion? All right, we'll open up to the public. Would anyone from the public like to comment?
Hello.
I'm Doug Jennings. I live at 30250 Road H. I'm the one that sold them the property, Mr. Oakley. And I just wanted to say welcome them to the neighborhood, and I hope it passes. And only thing question I have is what kind of houses are they planning on building is my question.
Okay, we'll ask him that in a minute.
For, well, I had a deal where there was to be no manufactured homes as long as that's met. I don't have an issue with anything.
Okay, so there are recorded covenants on your
Yeah.
2-lot minor subdivision? Okay.
So I didn't know, I'm just kind of curious what they were planning.
Jeff, would you like to comment on that?
Sure, yeah, I'd love to. Our plan is to build 2 small single-level homes, so definitely no manufactured homes.
Okay, perfect.
Perfect.
And nice to meet you, Doug.
You bet, thank you.
Likewise, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, anyone else from the public? All right, seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission. If there's no further discussion, we'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to approve a proposed amendment application in AR 3 through 9 rezoning to the Mesa Foothills 2-lot minor subdivision, Lot 2, submitted by Jeff Oakey, based on the following. The proposed use is in conformity with the code. The proposed use shall not generate any significant adverse impacts on the other property in the area, and public utilities and services are available or can be made available to support uses consistent with the proposed zoning, and I do not have any conditions.
No conditions.
I'll second it.
Second?
All right, it's been moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, we'll call the vote, please.
Commissioner Rosso?
Aye.
Commissioner Farian?
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders?
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Aye.
Motion carried. The vote was unanimous. Good luck to you, Jeff.
Thank you.
You bet.
I'll be in touch with you, Jeff.
We'll be in touch, Jeff, if you could make arrangements to get the sign back to our office.
I can do that.
Great, thank you.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rosso?
Here.
Commissioner Farian?
Here.
Commissioner Saunders?
Here.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Here?
Number 7, notice is hereby given the Montezuma County Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing for review and determination of a proposed single lot development in AR 10 to 34 rezoning application submitted by Jason and Billy Ann Solon on property located at 23971 Road N, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 70.16 acres more or less, located east of Highway 491, north of Road N, situated in Section 4, Township 36 North, Range 16 West, New Mexico Prime Meridian. This is a public hearing. Was the public notice published?
Yes, sir?
Was evidence of letters of adjoining neighbors submitted?
Yes, sir?
And was a sign posted?
Yes, sir?
All right, would the applicant like to come up, please?
Last man standing.
Last man standing.
But you really wishing you were first.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay, planning department findings.
The applicants are proposing to create a single lot development consisting of approximately 11 acres. The remaining 59 more or less acres will continue to be pasture land. There is a current driveway that comes off of Road N, and any new driveway accesses will need to be permitted by the county road department, but none is proposed right now. He is proposing to get, to purchase this 60-foot easement to the other property from his neighbor. The Wildfire Adaptive Partnership has also recommended a waiver, and so has the county weed department, but the property owner is still responsible for maintaining weeds and fire mitigation. And that's it.
All right, would you like to add anything to that?
The Road and Bridge Department has approved that road construction, and we've secured the easement deed with them.
You did secure the easement? Okay.
Okay.
And I'm assuming it does touch the 35-plus acres, doesn't look like it in the picture.
Just right there in the fence line on that.
Okay.
All right.
There will be an additional easement added on the east property line for Tri-State and I believe Empire Electric. So this plat, Tri-State has requested that they sign the plat, so that will be added, which means it's gotta be sent to Denver, cause they don't exist over here, but everybody's aware of that, and we just take a extra little bit of time to get that, but that will be added to the plat, just for your information.
I think it's a 30-foot easement, isn't it? It's
37.5.
30 foot,
Yeah.
okay.
And we've got Brian McLaughlin, the surveyor, in touch with the land department. So
Yes, he has contacted our office.
Yeah, we actually have the preliminary plat here. There's a lot of information, but,
Yeah, right here.
and it will indicate this easement access.
On the east line.
Yes.
Jason, is that gonna be access and utility or just access?
Access and utility.
Okay.
By the deed.
But that will be noted on the plat.
That's 60-foot access and utility.
Yeah.
Okay, any, planning commission discussion? Anyone from the public like to comment?
Come on, Queenie.
Last woman standing.
Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the commission, and if there's no further discussion, we'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to approve of a single lot development and AR 10 to 34 rezoning application submitted by Jason and Billy Ann Sulon, based on the following: the proposed use is in conformity with the code. The proposed use shall not generate any significant adverse impacts on other property in the area, and public utilities services are available or can be made available to support uses consistent with the proposed zoning, and no conditions.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded, any discussion on the motion? We'll call the vote, please.
Commissioner Russell?
Aye.
Commissioner Farian?
Aye.
Commissioner Saunders?
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Aye.
Motion carried, vote was unanimous. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You have a great community.
Thank you.
I got your sign too.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, perfect. I'll grab that from you, Jason.
Roll call.
Commissioner Russell?
Here.
Commissioner Farian?
Here.
Commissioner Saunders?
Here.
And Commissioner Hernandez?
Here.
All right, the additional discussion, I guess you guys all saw the email.
I didn't.
You did. Well, Don could probably elaborate on it, but the commissioners are wanting us to kick around fees for after the fact PUDs, exemptions, variances, floodplain permit, HIP, SUP,
Okay.
and SUP. And I don't know, that's kind of a tough deal, really. I mean, what they're concerned with is that there's people doing what they want to do first and then getting their variances or exemptions or floodplains or anything, and PUDs in this circumstance, it's that one down on Road G, is it?
Right, Road G.
That we looked at last month, was it, or 2 months ago?
I believe it was in May.
May. And there were
May,
about
because,
people
yeah.
circumventing the public being able to participate, because they can, if they go like, and do that and then come later, it's already done, so no matter what the public says, if they get a variance or anything, and Commissioner, I watched, there's a YouTube video, and that Don called out and said what minute to start at, and I watched, and Commissioner Copenhaver was
Pretty hot.
He was pretty hot. He wasn't wanting to charge fees later. He's wanting to take some of their units out of there. And he's wanting to be, and so then Commissioner Candelaria, he was next in line. He wasn't quite as hot, and then it didn't seem like Commissioner Lindsay was too upset about it. But how do you prove somebody did this on purpose to circumvent the system and just didn't know? And
Right.
But I think that's the concern that we have. One of my concerns is that just that they are, whether it's, willful blindness or just pure ignorance, not knowing where to go, that's not necessarily an excuse.
no,
And
absolutely.
we have no form of enforcement, and we have no,
We can't find them. but I don't know how we enforce payment.
Well, but I think that's where we go here is, why not incentivize them to do it right the first time? Because the fee is brutal if you don't do it right the first time.
We need to make it, yeah.
I
You know,
think
like-
the commissioners are thinking that, they would like to see people ask permission instead of ask for forgiveness.
Well, correct, that's what they're after, but how do we make them do that? How severe can we make that? Like, up the river, what was that, 10, 15 years ago, when Danny Wilkham built that house at the subdivision, on the south side of 145 in the West Forks there, and built it way too close to the river, and what ended up happening, I think they got fined like $7,500. Well, you know, on a $200,000 lot and a $500,000 home, what's $7,500 to build it where you wanna build it?
Right.
I mean, in that circumstance, wouldn't do it. This woman down Road G that has, you know, those 3 little
Many houses.
VRBO, I mean, if she gets fined $5,000 or $10,000, it's probably gonna hurt.
Yeah, so, I mean, is it relative to,
So what do you
what's
do?
what do we make it relative to?
Yeah,
right?
that's the problem, that's what I'm struggling with.
And that's
I
where I
mean,
was going down with that email, you know, if the property's appraised somehow, if we could tie it into an appraisal, I don't know.
I mean,
Cause they do reappraise, you said, every 2 years,
Yeah, the evaluations are done every 2 years.
and
And
that,
it's basically on what's on the property and what like properties sold for in that area. But I mean, how do you find them if the appraisal's done in 19 months from now?
Right, and what I'm saying is that you would initiate a new appraisal. You know,
Yeah.
to have the appraiser go out and, okay, now that you've got this $2 million house that's sitting on this lot that you built too close to the river.
well, they probably did, I mean,
You know?
I don't know if they assessed it any more than they would have normally, but I'm sure they got assessed and got their tax money on that, but.
So
This woman.
Is there a difference between, and just forgive me, I'm catching up. Like original owner makes, the person who makes the mistake is fined, not
Yeah,
the
that-
purchaser.
That makes sense,
Well, you have to,
yeah.
But
the culprit has to be fined.
just in case, there should just be
Right.
clarification
I mean,
about
if
that.
somebody would've bought that place on Road G, and then it would've come to light what they did, it'd be hard to find them
Correct.
$10,000 when.
Yeah, and, you know, then how do you go back to the
How do you
original
go back,
price?
you
can't.
don't.
You can't, yeah.
And that's the thing, is you're not gonna have a one system cures all.
Right, that's what
Right.
I mean, we had that with the compound down on Road H. They bought it that way, but we discovered it when they went to sell it, so they had to get compliant with it. And they didn't put anything new in there, they just gotta deal with it.
In an instance like that, could we task the realtors in the area that, you know, before something gets sold, we're notified, the county's notified that this is the way the property looks today, and it isn't compliant or not compliant?
Yeah, the realtors have gotten a lot better on checking on parcels that don't show in a subdivision or aren't, you know, obviously 35 plus to make, but you can buy and sell non-compliant property. There's no law against it, no rule against it. I hate getting the assessors involved in doing assessments because that would be a whole nother level of, they might do it and they might not on a given time frame.
So what happens if they don't, they're not in non-compliant, right? And we institute some fine, okay? But that fine is only applicable in the event of them trying to fix the matter, right? Because we would have a bunch of properties out there that don't meet certain regulations, right? And they're only brought to our attention because they're doing it after the fact or whatever the case is, right?
Usually if it's an after the fact, it's 'cause we find them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nobody comes in
Yeah, nobody comes in.
voluntarily.
Yeah, I just.
So
think it's
I didn't,
property.
I thought there wasn't an enforcement or a fine.
They
Well-
said, she said fined.
If I see it, or somebody calls and complains about it, then it becomes an issue and I contact them.
Gotcha. So you contact them to come in and do what
Yeah,
they're supposed to
they get a
do.
certified letter that you're non-compliant
Gotcha.
and
So
you,
at that point in time is when we would institute the new fine,
Right.
or the new cost. whatever it is.
and we don't wanna look at it as a fine because land use code has its own fine mechanism.
Mhm.
If we notify them they're non-compliant and they don't contact me and start fixing the problem, then the county attorney will issue them a certified letter. And if they don't comply, then it goes to district court. And our land use code has real, consequences
Yeah.
when it gets to court. It starts with $1,000 fine and $100 per day that you're non-compliant.
I saw that with the, going towards a lien, towards the property.
So we have that fine mechanism, it's just, I mean, we really don't wanna have to get to that point, but if somebody's completely just disregarding everything, which we've had some. So the commissioners were looking more for after the fact fee that would be applied for not doing it beforehand and coming in afterwards.
Could it be a percentage of property value from the last
No,
assessment?
it's gotta be pretty severe.
I mean, 10%
People will
of
just,
property
will just
value.
do it and
That's what
pay.
I'm saying, but then you gotta
Yeah.
appraise it.
Right now,
But from the last assessment.
yeah,
Yeah, but if he's made a major, improvement onto the property, that,
True.
that doesn't help. I mean,
but right now, there is no real, consequence for you asking for forgiveness because it's the same fee.
Right.
And so people are looking at it like, okay, I can go and do this
Yeah.
and then ask for forgiveness because I pay the same fee.
If I get caught.
And the
then-
commissioners-
Then I'll pay it. If I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
and so, and then now the commissioners are saying, is there something that can be done to have consequences for you not going through the process when people that are honest, going through the process, asking for permission and going through the permitting process,
How
they're
much,
being punished,
Right.
basically.
how much of it is like recent violations, willfully ignoring, or like repeat offenders? Cause I see it as if I can think of one, that, oh no, every time this is wrong, just ask for forgiveness. I would rather find that person than the person who's trying to fix something that they did 20 years ago because maybe they didn't know how to use the internet to figure out where the land use code was. Like, I would take in like access to information into consideration. Like, if you can access the land use code in multiple ways, like a time frame. Like,
Well, we
in
do
the
have
last 3 years, if you've done it.
We do have the land use code on the website, on the
Mhm.
main page, and on the planning's website, and so it's in multiple places.
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, if you did it now and didn't look, that's worse than if you did it 10 years ago when maybe you didn't have internet to your house and you're just not tech savvy. Like, kind of give people a break in that way. So maybe we take into account you've had access to this information in many different ways and you're willfully ignoring, versus maybe you just really truly didn't know what to do 10 years ago, but if you're a multiple offender, that's a
What if-
different scenario.
I agree with you, but what if we put in a time frame, right? We say, look, in a year from now, if you're caught and you're out of compliance, this fee is going to be significant. You have a year to become compliant with the land use code, ultimately grandfathering people in.
How far back do we grandfather them in? I mean, we don't wanna go get the poor guy that put his machine equipment shed 2 foot too close to his property line 25 years ago and tell him, hey,
And-
you know,
and I
it's
agree with you. I think
$1,500
there-
remove your.
Yeah, you gotta have a,
There's some nuances there, I think, that need to be worked out, but that might be an option. We make the fee, you know,
Like triple.
yeah,
triple, quadruple, whatever it normally is.
Yes.
And then, but if you come and you're within compliance within the next year, the fee, we'll put you in at the regular fee, right? We'll do it at the old fee, and, given that you have not taken this action within this year timeframe, right? So nothing new from this time on, but
you gotta give them a grace period.
yeah, we give them a grace period to be compliant. After that time, that fee gets absurd.
Yeah.
Sure.
In Vegas with our accessory dwelling units, we had a bunch of them. And so what we did, we gave them 9 months to come in and get certified, get licensed, and get brought up to code at no charge. After the 9 months, they had to pay the full, or we closed them down. So like I said, we went back and we've had ADUs in Vegas. I know this one little house has been there 50 years. Because it was on my aunt's property. And she never came in. And we gave her that opportunity, 9 months free, and we will charge you nothing to, you don't have to pay any utility fees, you don't have to do anything. And then if you didn't come in, then we went the full rate on it, we're shut them down. And you give people that opportunity, but they have to have some responsibility in it too. And, you know, if you go 9 months or a year, give them that much time. And, you know, yes, the guy built it 20 years ago, okay, come in and we're gonna waive it, we're grandfathering you in, anything you do from now on. But if he doesn't come in, then you can go back and fine him. Even if it's
So basically, the landowner has to take responsibility for their actions.
somewhere down the line, we have to be adults.
Exactly.
And take responsibility, you know? And my thing too is that that's just gonna add more, work on your staff, and right now, you know, you're understaffed, and the county is having problems with, you know, funding. This would help the funding, but it's also gonna cause additional,
Yeah, additional work.
Yeah.
additional work and additional money, because who's gonna enforce it? That's the thing too, is you have to.
Well, I think it goes back to the way it is now, we have no enforcement.
Right.
But if it's reported, or if it's seen by somebody that reports it, then, and you're after that year, this is gonna hurt,
Yes, and make it high enough,
Right.
they'll hopefully come in.
and that will incentivize people to do it the right way.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dove Creek just did a ton of, I think, code enforcement and gave people a lot of notice. I mean, you're dealing with 1/25 of the population, but, I mean, they were clear, we're coming for you. You've had this amount of time, they got people ready, they put out dumpsters, they're like, get your stuff together,
Yeah.
and then started finding people.
It's kind of a resetting, right? That from that point on, now it's this way.
But you still
But
wanna get that.
that's like a
get
whole
that guy that
thing.
put that barn 2 feet too close to the property, you still want him to come in and get the variance. You're not gonna, crucify him, but you still want him to come in.
Because you would grandfather him in if he comes in. If he doesn't come in, then if you got the opportunity, you know.
Yeah, so the person that put their barn 1 or 2 feet too close to the fence line, if he came in, he doesn't pay anything. He's grandfathered in, so that building can stay at that 2 feet. But if he builds anything else, or he adds on to that barn, it's no longer grandfathered in,
Right.
and he has to pay full pay.
So who's gonna go out and find all these places?
Well, again, I think, like Zach said, you're gonna have to give them the incentive to come in and make it right. Make it right, it's gonna cost you whatever the fee is, straight across. The recourse is if you don't do it, then you're gonna get nailed.
So then you start sending out fines? Like, do you have the capacity to do that?
I would just about bet that probably higher than 50% of the properties are in non-compliance, and
Mm-hmm.
That's why I feel like,
I'm not so sure we
starting
wanna
with
go-
your era, like, when Don started, if you were bad after
Don's
this.
fault.
Don's fault.
No, but like, if, you guys have been very accessible, so since you guys have been in this office, anything prior to that, maybe just call it good unless there are some weird ones out there. Or maybe you just leave those ones alone, but anything,
There are very weird ones out there.
yeah. But anything after you started that they haven't done it, then that's when the fines could potentially take place. Because, I don't know, I want to give people the benefit, like, they just don't get it.
So you're
Or don't know how to
wanting
use the internet.
Oh, yeah,
wanting
there's a lot that
timeline.
just don't get it, but they don't try.
Yeah.
It's like
But
the-
like, after 2015, you had to try, or like, after 2019, you had to try.
Or,
Like,
or we get
dang.
those ones that don't completely tell the truth,
Yeah.
and they tell us one thing and do another.
Well, and I think you're also gonna have, if you do the grace period time, you're gonna have people say, oh, you know, I didn't do this project within that year, I did it before then, right? So I want it at the regular fee if they get, if it gets brought up. So they're obviously lying to you in that scenario, right? So there's no way to, like, you take them at their word, I guess, which is tough.
There are
I think
ways
it's
that we
more-
find
Unless you
out.
go
I think it's more complex
today,
than just assigning a fee.
then
There
is
has to be
no-
like
then
a,
they can't.
a structure for it.
From today.
Oh, it's not a simple deal,
I mean,
and,
I don't know that we wanna get. go
and it
back
can't be
50 years
subjective,
on
or
what
we're
is.
just, our county attorney won't go off for
Would
any of it.
you,
No.
would the Planning and Zoning Commission be willing to write out your own individual thoughts and submit them to us?
I mean, like I just said to Don, I think it's more complex than just assigning a fee structure. Like, in my mind, there's a staffing component, like, processing all of these people is, if 50% of people don't come in, I don't know. I just think it's hard because then it does become subjective. Unless you have code enforcement to go out and just like comb the roads, then it's like, if you live on this road, you're getting checked. But otherwise,
It's only
what
gonna
do
be
you,
subjective for that grace period,
yeah.
right?
So who's gonna
And then
check?
after that, you rely on the hopeful goodwill of the county residents, allow them to come forward and say, you know, I don't know if I'm in compliant, but, you know, I just wanna check, or, you know, this is in non-compliant, I don't wanna pay quadruple the fee in a year if I get caught, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't charge them in a year, I'm just playing operational devil's advocate. If you can't charge them in a year, quadruple, and like they get missed, or you guys are busy with another project, then they've like skated the system again. So, like,
But they
you
would-
do it, you have to do it. Like,
Well, but I mean, that's only if they get caught post the grace period, right? So we're still gonna have people out there that are in non-compliance because we don't have enforcement.
Right.
But it goes back to where we're at now, which is if they are caught or are reported, now it's quadruple.
And/or if they try to sell the property, and now, you know, a realtor says, hey, you're not compliant with this, I can't sell your property, you know?
Yeah, but they're not gonna do that.
No.
Realtors aren't
But then again, you're gonna have people shy away,
Could
you know,
be,
prospective property, you know, buyers. They're
if
gonna
somebody
say,
tells
"Oh,
them,
you know,
Yeah, but
Is
the
this-
realtor, if the realtor sees
Oh, yeah, no.
the outbuilding is 10 foot away from the property line, they're not gonna kill the deal for that.
Oh, no, they
No.
won't, they won't, but
I guess
The
I'm
new
much more
owners, they-
concerned about
the
like
prospective
helping people
buyers, they don't
correct
know.
they don't know, yeah.
social
I think
determinants
the
things and
commissioners
like
Don't wanna do a
trash.
case
The
by
The
case
problem now
deal.
is
They
everybody
want
wants to
figure.
put 14 cabins on their
Well,
property
only
and
other way
start
to
renting
get
opposed to saying,
Airbnb.
you know, even if they put it in the
Which is
paper
not
or our
helping
website,
anybody
whatever,
with
from this
housing
day
around
on,
or
anything,
rent.
no.
any after the fact,
So what about
applications
doing-
will be triple or quadruple, whatever the fee that they are now.
Not including a grace period?
What
Is that
about by
you're saying?
categories?
Good luck, guys.
Thanks.
So, yeah,
Because Don just said like
Do you
the
want me to send
Airbnb,
you
like
an
mini
agenda
houses
each
are
no, cause that might get the,
part of the problem. I think that's setting
Yeah,
the
that's-
commissioners
that's
off.
a big problem.
So maybe it's like by category.
Hopefully it gets rained
Instead of
on.
like, take a small
There you
bite,
go.
like enforcement on
Is it Mangus Days?
mini house, whatever you decide, but like, start with them, cause that seems to be making the commissioners upset. And then maybe tackle a different, then like add on another category that is continually out of compliance versus like tackling every property in the county. Like,
So
what are the
phase-
most
phase
prop,
it out.
yeah, like what is the most problematic situation right now? It sounds like Airbnbs.
Campgrounds and Airbnbs.
So
what
we
was the first
start
one you
with
said?
that.
Campgrounds?
Campgrounds, and that application is still 500?
It's based on how many camping spots they
Okay,
have.
so then there's gonna be an increase. So if it's not 500, let's say it's $1,000 application fee, now you just quadrupled it. Ooh, now you hurt me. Now you hurt me.
I like categories and then repeat violators.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think repeat violators, this is primarily designed for them.
I've never had a repeat violator for anything.
There you
Of
go.
course, baby, we don't know about it.
Yeah.
There are
Maybe
other
that-
three
maybe-
properties.
Maybe they never got caught for any of them.
They got away with it.
Could it also be a percentage based off of the number of violations? Right, per property?
Well, how many violations we talking? I mean, if you have more than 2 residences,
That's a
you're
violation.
non-compliant.
You're violating.
If
Right,
you've
but
got
that's one
3 or
violation.
4
Then
or
you have
5, it's,
setback and you have,
Yeah,
you
well,
know-
you have number of residences,
Right,
setbacks,
right.
yeah,
Floodplain.
floodplain, non-compliant septics, you know, that,
But that's, I get, my point is, that's more of an incentive to come forward, because if you have multiple, you know, issues, or multiple infractions, and you wait, you know, the grace period, it could get financially hurtful.
so are you talking, having a infraction fine for each offense?
Well, I guess it's not a fine.
Or not a fine, but
that-
for each
that would-
infraction, you have,
It doubles or triples, quadruples, you know, the fine. Right, so it's initially a minimum of, you gotta pay double or triple, whatever that fine, or whatever that fee was,
oh,
right?
okay.
For every subsequent infraction at that time, it's, you know, quadruple now,
Okay.
you know, and so on.
Okay.
I don't know, I'm just kinda.
Yeah,
Shooting up the hip.
wrapping it around my head.
Yeah.
No, it's a
Walking
tough one.
uncharted mile waters here.
And we
The
don't
only
wanna-
thing I feel strongly about is having it by category, most problematic. Like, what is causing,
As a rollout or as, okay.
yeah, like, if Airbnbs are problematic and multiple mini houses on properties because, you know, they're skirting the rules, but also, you know, it's causing economic impact, whatever it might be, like, start there. Sounds like campgrounds are problematic, but if you could get like one thing cleaned up at a time, maybe it would be easier to create a structure that makes sense. Cause I don't know. Like, I don't know if a campground applies the same as a house off the top of my head.
Well, an Airbnb and a campground is for profit. They're there to make money.
And they would be commercial.
They're there to make money, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now, Don and I are being inundated with phone calls and emails from people that want to buy property, and then in order to pay for them, they will put multiple dwellings or RV sites or something on the property in order to pay for the property. But they don't come through us to do anything. They just do it on their own.
Yeah, so that seemed like a great place to start.
And I think it should be a larger infraction for profit properties.
I mean, if a phone call came to you, then it's documented that you got a phone call on this particular property.
But
to do that.
they do very vague questions where, I'm thinking about buying this property and things like that.
What rules
So-
can I break?
Hmm?
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
What happens if I do this?
Yeah, and that's what they do. They ask vague questions, and then, you know, they don't really own the property yet, and then they go and buy it, and then they do it.
And do it, yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's fully intentional in my mind. It's fully intention to deceive the county and bypass the system.
And then we have these people that just buy property, don't call us, and
Do it anyway.
Yeah. So,
I think the categories portion is, I like that. But I think there are a lot of nuances to figure out.
Mm-hmm.
Rollouts or phases of this implementation. And I do think that there should be a higher degree of fee for commercial infractions, for for-profit infractions.
Right.
That is intentionally deceiving the planning department, right?
mm-hmm.
So basically, you're looking at PUDs.
Yeah.
Make the conversion.
Mm-hmm.
Cause you can have two residences, and if you don't build another one, I mean, you can rent them out Airbnb all day long,
Yeah,
every day of the year.
because the land use code states that you can have two
Right.
residential dwellings per property.
It's just now they wanna throw in a yurt, and then
Yeah.
they wanna throw in a tiny home, and then they
Mhm.
wanna drag in a
Or a
cabin, and then they
teepee,
wanna buy
or-
a shed and put
Buy
a
a shed and then.
porch on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, put a porch on it, yeah.
And the things that I have to deal with most is people say, well, I'm gonna build a barn, and I wanna put a bathroom in it. Well, you're gonna be paying the fees for a residence. Well, no, it's a barn. It's just gonna be a barn. It's an outbuilding. No,
It's got a
you hook
bathroom.
it to septic and it becomes a residence.
Yeah,
Because
of course.
today you're gonna put in a bathroom and a sink. Tomorrow you're going to put in a shower.
Stove.
And next week you're gonna put in a kitchen.
And it becomes an
And
apartment.
then pretty soon you're gonna have a bed. So it becomes an apartment.
An apartment, granny flat, whatever. yeah.
And once they do that, we don't know.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah.
they pay the fees up front.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that's a good starting place. Just
Mhm.
let them roll around with that and see. Because that might present where their hotspots really are. Like who they really want to penalize. I
Well,
know they
the-
get annoyed about variances in general.
The main problem with Airbnbs and VRBOs came with the previous BOCC, where they said, no, we're not going to measure them, we're not going to keep track of them, we're not going to charge them anything. And so then we were inundated with, and we have no idea how many Airbnbs or RV, we don't know. how many are in the county right now?
I think we need a permit, like we talked last time, right? With some kind of restriction to it.
A special use permit.
Yeah, but a qualification, if you will, right? Because I think one of the big concerns are corporations from outside places purchasing up areas, and then, like you said earlier, we don't have the housing, right? We don't have that anymore, so. But I think we need to be very careful if we do put that restriction on who to include, right? We can't just say Montezuma County, because we have people that live in Dove Creek that do all business here, but their house is there, right? They are contributing all their income tax, all that kind of stuff to our area. We need to be able to include them, I think.
But then we've got these other corporations that buy up, 1,000 acre properties, want to put condos on there, and they live in another state, another country,
You
and
go to the
so,
coast anywhere, all of the coastal houses are bought up.
and we don't see anything.
And they're owned
we
by
don't see-
corporations, so.
And we don't
it's
see a
exactly
dime
the
of
same.
that, because it goes to the
Exactly
head
right.
corporation.
Yep.
And somehow, we have to get
I
some of that
agree.
money.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
What that stipulation is,
Yeah.
I've thought about it a lot, and I don't know. Cause it can't be, we want it to stay in Montezuma, maybe, adjacent counties, right?
Mhm.
That's really where we want the money to stay.
Within the Tri-County area,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then I think about parameters on that too, just because, again, my business, there's so much turnover, and something happens and you move and you gotta rent your house out. So I think if it's like, if you own multiples and live out of state, that might be different. But if you have one and live out of state, maybe you're not penalized in the same way, so.
Yeah, because all you're getting is property tax, basically.
Well, you could rent it for long-term, it'd just be the short-term rental.
Yeah, it's the short-term
If you're
rentals
renting it
that need to be
6-month lease
targeted,
or a
not
year
the
lease, that's not a
long-term.
problem.
Right, 30 days or less.
Like
Or
if you
less than
had to
30
move
days.
away,
I wanna make money off my
yeah,
house.
so,
Yeah.
you only have one house, and you're gonna be doing it for long-term.
Yeah,
You're not going to be doing it for short-term, like for vacationers.
mhm.
So you wouldn't be penalized in the same way because you're doing long-term.
Long-term lease.
Mhm. You're doing leases where the others are just renting them out for pleasure.
Daily
Yeah.
contracts.
Mhm. So,
Yeah. I don't know, guys. Let's recommend categories and then go from there. Start small, manageable,
Push back a little.
hot spots.
Yeah, it's not an easy, it's
So
not
what
an
kind of
easy
categories
solution.
do you want to,
Like, recommend what are the problem spots? If they are multi-unit vacation rentals, if that's the most problematic, or if it's campgrounds, but like, if there is some problem area that they're constantly having to do variances for, start there versus the whole county. And every single thing.
Maybe a overarching would be a for-profit scenario, right?
And that's what Ronald Colton Acres, that complex where the gal had 5 little mini houses on there.
Yeah, which, would set some precedent within that,
I think
Okay.
he-
industry, if you will.
He did too. He voted against it.
He did vote against it,
The other
but
two
it
voted
passed.
for it, it passed, yeah. But again, too, so they had the opportunity to send a message too, and they failed.
Right.
You could have said, no, we deny it.
But then what do? If you deny it? then
Well,
what
it's
do
true, it's already in existence, but then now it goes back to to the attorney because you are clearly in violation now.
Yeah, that's,
Clearly in violation.
And then it goes to the $100 a day lien and.
Yeah,
that
and
kind of stuff.
now it hurts them.
So you could make her, they could have made her move those off?
Yep, and
or-
start over. Start over again, yeah, let's do this right.
And if the fees go on, the fine goes on long enough, you can do a lien on the
Willing to
property.
set that precedent.
Where if they sell it, then the county gets first pay.
and then the county can be landlords of tiny houses.
Triple or quadruple the fee
Of the application, I think
I think it is good, but like in her case, that'd have been a bargain for her.
Sure would have been,
If the alternative was moving them off.
Yeah,
then
pull
going
them
through it,
off the
then whipping
property.
back.
But
yeah.
it also, the fee is based off of the current application, right? Size changes the fee, what they're doing changes the fee. So that's already been given some kind of intrinsic value in comparison to that of what they're doing. So by quadrupling it, you're just making that already assessed fee really hurt, right? So,
What is the fee for PUD? That's
Well,
$500?
Tegan, or the one down on County Road G, paid $4,000 for that PUD.
She did.
yeah, so it'd been $16,000.
So 4 times, yeah, would have been,
and now you're talking, yeah.
plus they had to put in a new septic system, and they have to get a water tap.
They have to get a commercial water tap, or upgrade their water tap.
Which is why it makes sense to give them some kind of grace period, right?
Come
That this
forward.
is, we are doing this. If you are caught
But
after
they
this.
bought the property and put this stuff on there.
No, and I understand that. My point is, if it's, we're gonna have scenarios where it would cost somebody a lot of money if they waited after the grace period to get compliant. You are incentivized to get in here and do it
Okay.
now at the regular fee, or if we really wanna incentivize people, I don't know, we cut it in half, right? That fee,
Or let them pay the regular fee, and if you go past the grace period, it quadruples.
right, yeah, that's what I mean. But you could potentially really incentivize people by saying, look,
Okay, we'll cut the
if you-
fees
it
in
will
half.
cut the fee in half. You just gotta get your butt in here and get it done and get compliant, cause if you're caught afterwards, it's gonna hurt.
When does the grace period start? From when they're found or when they get?
No, I think the grace period is for entire county-wide, right? It's,
Whether it's a PUD or a lot split.
yeah,
or
it's this
whatever,
day.
whatever.
Does it
And
start
you-
when, say, we get in touch, or we get, somebody lets us know that something's happening, and so from the moment the letter's sent, or from the moment, is that when the year starts, is when we
No,
send the
I think
letter
the
out?
year, I
or-
think the year starts.
No,
as
you
soon as
would say it starts January 1st, 2023.
Exactly.
January 1st of next
You,
year.
once you figure out all the details, you figure out a time and a date to implement the year,
Oh, okay.
and you post it in newspapers, you post it
Online,
everywhere,
online.
and if you have a year to get this done, right? It's gonna be a busy year for you guys.
I don't know, give me
More
a year.
busy than it
Not
already
much.
is?
But, and then after that, if you don't show up and you are caught, it's gonna be
Or you
serious.
commit, or you commit for an
It has to be
application.
Right, or you go to change something, right? Yep.
way past pandemic,
So it's in your best interest to
Everyone
figure
will
out if
win.
you're in compliant now,
unless you're
all
ready to take
residents of
doctor's
Montezuma
notes.
County.
There's
And if you
some
don't,
things
if
that
you
are
don't,
not.
I agree.
Little infractions, not PUDs or.
So you're
Right, but
talking
that
every
fee-
infraction.
The fee for a variance on a setback of an outbuilding, right? what is that fee?
$100.
Okay, so it's $400.
Well,
If
it
they're
also
out there.
has recording fees, which is only like 18 bucks, so.
But I think the fee fits the scenario,
infraction.
right?
Mhm.
And that's why we're
If I have
quadrupling
one
it.
Like that, I would say, great, I'm not going in, if they catch me, I'll give them $400.
And, but there's
You're gonna
also,
have those, you're gonna have
but
those.
there's also a lot bigger infractions that
You're
we're
gonna have
more
those.
concerned about than a
Yeah.
setback of 30 feet, right?
Right.
The big ones are the ones you're after. You're gonna get some small ones and you're
Well, the
probably
setbacks
mostly
weren't
not gonna
always
get.
30 feet.
Yeah.
Was 25.
Yes.
For outbuildings, and residences were 50. Now it's 30 and 30.
And they found out, they go, oh, crap, we just made a mistake.
Like
Yeah,
I
but
was saying,
400 fits a whole lot better than $4,000 for a setback, an outbuilding setback, right?
Again, it fits, it
Right.
fits the infraction.
If it's an infraction. It's not a fine,
Yeah.
it's just,
Mhm.
it's a late fee.
So the fees should fit the infraction.
Right, because the fees already fit what they're doing, right? You guys have already assessed that and put that as a numerical value. You just quadruple it. That really hurts.
Yeah.
Cause if you had, something large go in, multiple houses or,
RV park, those get.
that could be
so
several,
how are we
that could
gonna
be potentially
get
$100,000.
this word out to everyone in the county? Just put it in
Seems
the
like
papers
Vicky's
and-
problem.
Yeah, it seems like Vicky's problem. She's the PIO.
Yeah, she'd have plenty of work to get the word out.
What, paper,
I
you could
would-
do mailers.
I would recommend, I just told Don, waiting until public health emergency has been declared officially over. So you don't get all these people like, oh, well, I couldn't because I was weak from whatever. Because
What did you just
people
say?
are gonna try to get out of it for all sorts of health conditions. And just take COVID out of the equation. So once the public health emergency, 'cause they're
COVID's
gonna
never
extend-
going away, have you not heard?
I know, but I'm saying the public health emergency status itself, because they're gonna renew it, I
They
think.
are gonna try and bring it up every year for the rest of our lives.
I don't think it's an excuse anymore.
Now we
I
got
think-
smoking
The thing is, the land use code has to be changed to do this, so it's gonna have to be at least one meeting, if not two, to revise the whole thing, so it's nothing that's happening quick.
No, it's gonna be a 6-month deal.
We'll let them marinate and we'll talk about it again.
We can continue for next time.
We're going after all the property owners. What if we send it out in their, with their tax notice?
That's what I'm saying, with the tax notice.
Mm-hmm.
Then it goes to every property owner in Montezuma County.
Whether you're a resident or not.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, they're still responsible for the infractions.
Right.
Still put it in the paper, still put it online,
Yeah, do
as
that.
much as you possibly can. Shotgun approach.
Right.
We're probably gonna have, I don't know if we can do it by January 23.
That's it.
Might have to be
Well,
like
Yeah, it might have to be.
Yeah, we got
January 24.
We got a good run on it already, I think,
But-
today, right now. Figuring, okay, we're gonna quadruple the fee that you would normally pay, depending on what you're.
Yeah, and moving forward, if you blatantly
I think
disregard
the
it. or
commissioners will
don't
like
know,
that, cause it's not putting them in a
That's
case-by-case situation where that
Mm-hmm.
Well,
fluctuates.
if it's been put on social media, put in with your tax bills, and put in the newspaper, put on our website, there's no way people can say, well, I didn't know.
there's no-
Well,
And
yeah,
you'll get word of mouth.
That's what they're all gonna
Unless they don't pay their tax bill.
Couldn't you also put it up in some of the government buildings,
Put in their tax notice.
Oh, the public notice?
Yeah, public notices.
Yeah, we could probably do that too.
And the more places, the better.
So you got enough ammunition now to go to the commissioners?
Kinda got enough I can run it by Ian.
Tell them we gotta start.
Anymore, I have to talk to him 5 times a week.
Yeah, we gotta go to Ian first before we do anything.
He's our attorney.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, everything's a mess anymore.
That's a good idea.
Better ask him about the segmentation next time you see him.
So what was it that I goofed up on?
I can't read, apparently. There's an extra of to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners to
Which one was
blank
it for?
of,
Approve or disapprove?
approve of.
Which
One of them says to approve for a proposed amendment. To approve, I just got tripped up with an extra word, and it was in some places and not others.
It should have been of, okay.
I've been grant writing a little, but this one doesn't have either, so that was the one I read before. So then I got stuck on 4. Sorry. Smarter than that,
Oh.
maybe.
Yeah, after you do all this stuff enough times, you get kind of frustrated.
Which brings up the question.
You know?
That one that we voted against, if she made the motion and I wouldn't second it, doesn't it just die?
It would have if I hadn't seconded.
But
Oh,
it,
you seconded it. Okay, I didn't hear that.
but it doesn't move
Okay.
forward, right?
Yeah.
That's what,
Okay, I didn't hear you say the
But to
second.
me, it didn't matter if we all voted aye or all voted nay. It's going, this way it's going to the commissioners as long as we
Well,
voted on it.
that's true, but it would, it
Yeah.
would have, Robert's rules, it would have died here if there was no second. It just would have died. They still
Right.
would have taken it, yeah.
Right,
Still
and I
would've
didn't wanna have them
Okay.
coming in next month and going through this again.
Well, they
I
could,
want them to go to the
if you
commissioners
denied
and
it,
get done.
it would have just been like,
Okay, I didn't hear you say
Betty
that.
Lewis.
They would have to petition to go
Petition
to the
go
commissioners.
DOCC. If you had denied it,
They
they
could
could petition.
petition.
Sure.
Yeah.
and it seems unlikely,
I think so,
BOCC.
I think they're gonna, the commissioners will pass it unless that segmentation deal holds up. Otherwise,
No, I don't know. I'm not gonna say yes or no.
I don't know that I can say while I'm sitting here, so
cause I'm not sure about, you know, the
I don't know what I can
ruining
say.
everybody's views. I mean, when I built my place, I'm sure I ruined somebody's view, or they at least can see my house.
Yeah, but one house is one thing, 20's a whole nother ballgame.
That's clear.
20's a whole nother ballgame.
So, I don't need to rehash it, I've made my position clear, so,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Are we on YouTube still?
Yep. Till you adjourn.
We adjourn it?
Let's adjourn.
Let's go here.
Who motioned? Who?
Yep, all in favor, yes. So now can you turn the YouTube off?
All in favor?
I.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.